Amelia Warner sets shocking conditions for forgiving Jamie Dornan. Amelia Warner sat in the spacious living room of her central London penthouse, a cup of hot tea in her hand, looking out at the bustling city, but her mind was quiet. She hadn't slept well in days, her mind spinning between anger, disappointment, and a vague hope. It was hard to believe that, after all that had happened, Jamie Dornan would appear at her door looking apologetic, full of faith that things could go back to the way they were. Jamie stood there, confused but determined. He would never give up. "Amelia, I know I was wrong. I want to make it right," he said, his voice low but sincere. Amelia didn't answer right away. She put down her teacup, her eyes cold but deep with hidden pain. "Make it right, Jamie? Do you know how much you hurt me?" She paused, took a deep breath. "I can forgive, but on one condition." Jamie frowned, feeling as if his heart was being squeezed. "What conditions?" "I will do everything." Amelia stood up, pacing around the room, looking out at the balcony without turning back. "You have to completely cut off all contact with Dakota Johnson." Jamie was startled, as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. "Amelia, it's not easy. Dakota, Shush is part of my job, Shush is a friend, you can't just disappear from her life." Amelia turned around, her eyes sparkling but cold. "If you want me back, want me to trust you again, that's the minimum requirement. There can be no exceptions. No meetings, no messages, no calls, no congratulations or complaints. Completely gone." Jamie lowered his head, a feeling of frustration spreading through his chest. He knew that if he refused, his relationship with Amelia would probably end forever. But giving up on Dakota would also mean losing a relationship he cherished. He was silent, struggling between two seemingly impossible choices. In the days that followed, Jamie began to fulfill his promise. He stopped all contact with Dakota. Messages were returned, emails were not responded to, appointments were cancelled. Dakota, initially confused by what was happening, kept trying to contact him, but Jamie was determined to keep his word. He felt a mixed sense of loss, but the memory of Amelia's angry and hurt eyes always reminded him that he could not back down. Amelia watched Jamie from afar, seeing the change in his behavior, his eyes filled with remorse but also gradually becoming more serious. Every time Jamie walked down the street, she still felt a pang in her heart, still in love, but not enough to jump into the arms of someone who had just hurt her. One rainy evening, Amelia received a text message from an unknown source. "Jamie is outside your apartment. He wants to see you, one last time." She stood there, her fingers trembling on the phone. The rain seemed to wash away all her torment. Finally, she decided to open the door. Jamie stood there, his raincoat wet, his hair wet, his eyes pleading. "I did everything you asked," Jamie said, his voice hoarse from cold and exhaustion. I lost her, but I want a chance with you. I'll do anything to make you believe me." Amelia was silent, her heart pounding. She knew she held the power in her hands, but she also knew that forgiveness was not just a choice, it was a cure for both of them. As the months passed, Jamie kept his distance from Dakota. Amelia noticed the change in the way he spoke, the way he smiled, the way he loved her without confusion. Their feelings gradually returned, slowly but surely, but happiness was never a straight path. Dakota refused to let go of Jamie's sudden disappearance. She tried every way to contact, to understand what was happening, causing Jamie to fall into pressure and stress many times. Amelia witnessed it all, and in her heart, there was both joy for Jamie's perseverance and fear of losing him if he could not continue to keep his promise. One day, when the three of them happened to meet at a charity event, the situation became more tense than ever. Dakota, with a face of both disappointment and anger, approached Jamie. "Why did you do that? Why did you disappear without telling me?" Jamie stood up straight, his eyes not leaving Amelia. "Because I need to make it right. I lost her, but I don't want to lose Amelia anymore. I know she is more important than anything." Amelia felt her heart both relieved and aching. This confrontation was proof that every decision has its price, and love sometimes requires harsh choices. Dakota withdrew, still regretful but also understanding that Jamie had chosen his own path. Finally, after months of trial, Amelia and Jamie stood together in the sunset, knowing that happiness is not forever, but at least, they found each other again through sincerity and necessary sacrifices. Amelia realized that forgiveness is not letting go of pain, but accepting that people can change, and Jamie proved that with actions, not just words. In the days after meeting at the charity event, Amelia felt a subtle change in the way she viewed Jamie. He was no longer apologizing profusely or begging for affection, but he seemed to be gradually proving through his actions that he deserved her forgiveness. One Saturday morning, Amelia received news that Jamie had sent a small gift box to her apartment door. Inside was a diary with a handwritten note. "Every day I will write what I learned from my mistakes, so you can see that I have truly changed." Amelia opened it, and each page was filled with sincere emotions, thoughts about keeping promises, about the hurt she had experienced, and about the fear of losing her forever. After reading, she couldn't help but cry. However, her heart was still timid. Forgiveness was not something that could be done overnight. But every day, looking at Jamie's efforts, Amelia gradually felt his true feelings and his determination. However, life was never easy. Dakota, despite Jamie's refusal to contact her, was still not appeased. She tried to contact Jamie through indirect channels, emailing her assistant, texting mutual friends, and even showing up unexpectedly at public events Jamie attended. Each time, Amelia witnessed a scene that made her both angry and worried. But Jamie, despite her temptation, kept her distance. One evening, Amelia and Jamie walked along the Thames. Light rain fell on their shoulders, creating a strangely quiet space in the hustle and bustle of the city. Jamie took her hand, gently but firmly. "Do you know what I want to say every time Dakota appears?" Jamie asked, his voice low and full of emotion. Amelia shook her head, her eyes fixed on him. "I wanted to let it all go, tell her that you meant everything to me. But I knew that if I did, I would lose you. So I kept quiet, kept my promise. Every day was a challenge, but also a way for me to prove that you were more important than anything." Amelia felt her eyes burning. She had never seen Jamie so honest and responsible. The pain of the past had now turned into a feeling of sadness and relief. Forgiveness was not forgetting, but seeing the other person's efforts to change. But the next challenge came sooner than she expected. Dakota decided to attend a filming in London, where Jamie was also supposed to be present. This information came to Amelia through an online article, making her feel a wave of anxiety. Jamie knew, but instead of avoiding it, he stood in front of Amelia, held her hand, and said, "You will see that I will not run away. I will face everything, but I will never let it destroy us." The filming was tense. Dakota appeared, his eyes filled with confusion and disappointment as he looked at Jamie. But he stood firm, seemingly unshaken. Amelia stood at a distance, watching Jamie face the past without letting it dominate the present. She felt both proud and moved. After that day, Jamie and Amelia spent more time together. They cooked together, read together, walked in the park together and shared small but sincere things in life. Amelia realized that forgiveness is not just looking at the past, but also creating a new future, where both of them grow up and learn to love each other with both mind and heart. Another evening, sitting by the fire in Amelia's apartment, Jamie said, "I used to think that if I hurt you, I would never have the chance to make it right. But now I know, it's not just a chance, it's a responsibility. I have to live up to what you believe in, and what I believe in myself." Amelia was silent, listening. She realized that forgiveness is really a journey, not a moment. And Jamie chose that journey. As time passed, Dakota finally accepted reality. She left London, returned to the US to continue her career, and kept a wordless regret in her heart. Jamie was no longer dragged into complicated relationships. Amelia and Jamie could finally live peacefully with the love that had been through the harshest test. One afternoon at the end of the year, as the sunset dyed the London sky red, Amelia and Jamie stood on the balcony of her apartment. They held hands, said nothing, but their eyes said it all. The days of pain, anger, trials, all became part of their love story, a story that no one but them could fully understand. Amelia smiled softly, leaned on Jamie's shoulder, and said, "You know, forgiveness is never easy, but thanks to you, it is worth it." Jamie hugged her tighter, as if wanting to remember every moment. "And you are the reason I learned to love properly." They stood there, in the middle of the big city, in the hustle and bustle of life, but in their hearts there was only a small world, where there was love, forgiveness, and the belief that people can change if they really want to. And from there, Amelia Warner and Jamie Dornan continued to write their own story, a story that was not completely subtle, yet hopeful, sincere, and choices built from the heart.